Hey friends, hello everyone, long time no hear. You are on the channel of course Z Movie Recaps, and this is a retelling of the movie Slug. A young teacher, Starla, finishes her lessons. On the street, she meets a colleague who is interested in talking about environmental research, but their conversation is interrupted by the girl's husband, Grant. He rudely takes his wife aside and then leads her to the car, making it clear that he does not approve of her socializing with other men. At the same time, Bill is discussing a very strange marriage with his colleagues. Grant is much older than Starla, and they do not understand what she finds in him. Probably their union is based on feeling and gratitude. After all, the girl grew up without a mother, and her father was always drowning in a glass, not paying any attention to his daughter. Grant pulled Starla out of this poverty. He provided her with everything she needed, and also got her a job at school. In the evening, the man hints to his wife about conjugal duty, but the girl cites fatigue and goes to bed. To blow off steam, Grant goes to a bar. There he meets Brenda, who has been making eyes at him for a long time. After a couple of beers, the couple gets alone in the woods. The girl literally pounces on the man, but he pulls her away, not wanting to cheat on his wife. At that very moment, a strange picture opens up to their eyes. On the ground are fragments of meteorite, which look like the remains of a certain egg. From it stretches a sticky trail. Noticing the strange slug, the man carefully pokes it with a stick, and it suddenly releases an unknown liquid, which falls on Grant's chest. The man falls to the ground and begins to beat in convulsions. But after a couple of minutes, he subsides, silently rises, and heads towards home. Opening the refrigerator, Grant greedily pulls out all the meat and then goes to the basement, where he goes to sleep on a bed of leaves. Waking up in the morning, Starla goes into the living room to apologize to her husband for yesterday's refusal. He silently looks at his wife, and then they merge in love ecstasy. Meanwhile, Grant visits the butcher shop, buying everything in sight. At home, he hangs a lock on the cellar door. In the evening, Grant feels pain in his chest, and then two outgrowths begin to appear, which clearly want to harm Starla. Having hardly managed to cope with himself, Grant runs away from home, saying that he urgently needs to go to work. She congratulates her old acquaintance Bill on his promotion to sheriff. The party is also attended by Mayor McCready, who gives a spirited speech about man's dominance over all life in the world. He opens the deer hunting season in their town. Meanwhile, Grant arrives at Brenda's house. He goes inside, pulls his shirt open, releasing his tentacles, which immediately penetrate the girl. It's not the tentacles you're thinking of. The man, at this point, calmly waits for his inner monster to satisfy its hunger. Back home, Starla sees her husband. His face is covered in horrible blisters, but he assures her that everything is fine, it's just an allergy, and the doctor has already examined him. Worried about her husband, the girl calls the doctor in the morning and finds out that Grant has not consulted the doctor. Grant, in the meantime, takes 2 sacks of meat and heads into the woods. When he enters an old hut, he dumps the contents of the sacks in front of the bound Brenda. The girl assures him that she is simply starving, and the man offers her to taste the raw meat. In the evening, Starla sees a police car outside the house. Bill and Oli tell her that they have come to talk to her husband. It turns out that they have spotted him outside the house of Brenda, who disappeared the previous night without a trace. The girl says that her husband has not returned from work yet. As soon as the police leave, she breaks the lock on the secret door and goes down into the basement. Starla can hardly contain her gagging because the whole room is covered with disfigured corpses of wild and domestic animals. The girl immediately reports her discovery to the police. At this time, Grant returns home. His face has become even uglier, but now he does not hide his identity. The man assures her that he will make his wife like him, and then they will be together forever. Starla manages to fend off Grant with improvised means when the police arrive at the house. When they see the man whose arm has already turned into tentacles, they are stunned. 3 days later, Mayor McCready demands that Sheriff Bill capture the monster immediately. He attributes Grant's change in appearance to a manifestation of Lyme disease, which he may have picked up from a deer. At this point, the department receives a report of attacks on livestock on the outskirts of town. Starla also persuades him to take her with him because Grant will only react to her without aggression. After sitting in ambush for some time, the company sees how a disfigured man kills a cow by launching his tentacles into it. The girl begins to persuade her husband to give up, assuring that his illness is just a difficult period in their life. He almost makes contact when one of the volunteers cannot stand it and begins to threaten. At the same moment, Grant cuts the insolent man in one motion, and then incredibly deftly slips away into the forest. Following the trail of the criminal, the company finds an old hut. When they go inside, they see Brenda. The girl is conscious, but her body has turned into a huge ball the size of a car. At some point it bursts, and those present are attacked by countless small slugs. Realizing that they are trying to get inside a person through any opening, Starla, Bill, McCready, and Shelby cover their faces and ears, thus saving their lives. The slugs, meanwhile, crawl towards the nearest farm, where they attack the Sprout Micer family. Eldest daughter Kylie manages to get out of the house and get into the car, but the slugs begin to attack the car from all sides. Bill, meanwhile, is trying to get to his car, and when he sees that Kylie is in trouble, he rushes to her aid. Together, they fight off infected relatives and neighbors. Having reached the police car, they lock themselves inside. At this time, Starla watches as one of the infected slowly rises and begins to talk to her on behalf of Grant. He tells her that all these spreading particles are him. The man promises to protect the girl from any problems if she agrees to stay with him. In response, Starla fires a shot from a gun and then, with the surviving McCready, hurries to the sheriff's car. Having picked up a couple, Bill drives towards the city. On the way, he contacts the dispatcher and asks to call doctors so that they can determine what exactly turns people into monsters. As soon as the girl hangs up, slug larvae emerge from the ventilation pipe, attacking the entire area. Kylie, meanwhile, tells the others what she managed to find out. A slug is an alien parasite that moves from planet to planet. They saw all this when the larva tried to get inside her through her mouth. At that moment, the sheriff's car is rammed by a pickup truck. While Bill saves Kylie, the infected drag away Starla and McCready. The sheriff suggests that in order to get rid of the larvae, they need to kill Grant, which serves as the center of the alien parasite. Remembering that there should be a grenade in the area, the policeman goes there. In a dark room, Bill has to fight an infected deer. Kylie comes to the rescue in time, helping the sheriff win. Noticing that the infected is dragging the bodies of his victims to the Grant house, Bill offers to follow. Meanwhile, Starla comes to her senses. By this time, she had been washed, combed, and dressed in clean clothes, treating her like the greatest jewel. Having heard familiar music, the girl goes down to the basement where she sees her disfigured husband. His body became like a giant octopus. At the same time, he shouts a curse at her because she promised that his mutation can be stopped. Meanwhile, Bill and Kylie watch as the infected approach the house, take off their clothes, and merge into one teardropper. The sheriff realizes that this is something like the headquarters of alien parasites. At this time, Starla gets closer to her husband and stabs him with a sharp comb. Bill bursts in and tries to throw a grenade, but it ends up in the pool. Grant, enraged, grabs the sheriff and plunges one of the tentacles into his chest. The policeman manages to direct the second tentacle of the monster into a gas cylinder, thereby pumping the creature with propane. Having found the gun, Starla fires a shot, and the terrible monster is torn into small pieces. All infected in this instant fall dead. Together with Kylie, the girl helps the sheriff get up. He was lucky because to get infected, you need to be stung by 2 chloras. Having gone out onto the street, the trio slowly walks towards the highway to get to the neighboring town and get help. But they don't notice how someone's cat is licking the monster's remains. And after a couple of minutes, the cat makes a plaintive sound. Well, what can I say? A movie will come in with popcorn and soda. Thank you very much for watching. Likes, subscribe, comment. Watch interesting films with smoothier caps. Bye.